All right, with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie Jones, who is our Extension Specialist for Family Health. And Natalie is going to kick off the morning. Natalie, don't forget to unmute your microphone.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Can you see my slides okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So today we're going to just have an open conversation about social distancing. As the global pandemic of COVID-19 continues to spread, many of us are hearing this term, but we may not know exactly what it means. So we're going to go over today what it is, why it's so helpful, and then how we practice it. So first to start, for social distancing, what it is. So we're going to start with a definition of what social distancing is. So it's staying away from crowds or congregations of 10 or more people with the intent of minimizing the transmission of the infectious disease outbreak. In this case, we're talking about the coronavirus, COVID-19. And so the CDC defines social distancing as remaining out of congregate settings, avoiding mass gatherings, and maintaining distance approximately 6 feet away from others when possible. So that's the definition of what social distancing is. So again, social distancing, why it's so important is because it will slow the spread of the disease and provide our healthcare communities, states, and even our country with time needed to better prepare for coronavirus and for people who do catch the COVID-19. So if people, again, are not close together, then a communicable disease cannot spread. And so a communicable disease, just as a quick definition of what that is, it's COVID-19, and it's something that can transfer from person to person by direct contact with an infected individual or with the individual's discharge by an indirect contact. So when we think about person-to-person contact, it's touching someone, or the respiratory droplets could be left on a surface, and then you indirectly touch that, and then maybe touch your nose or your mouth, and then get infected with the COVID-19. So that's why it's important that we want to keep at least 6 feet between each other. So you can write this in your chat box, either on Zoom or on Facebook, but does anybody have a guess of why it's 6 feet? Why does the CDC recommend for social distancing that we stay 6 feet apart? Any guesses out there?
No guesses yet, Natalie.
Okay. Any brave person out there want to throw out an idea of why 6 feet is the recommended for CDC?
We do have a comment. The droplets can go 6 feet or stay. It won't let me see the rest of that. So droplets from coughing and sneezing. That's what people.
Right. So that's exactly right. So social distancing is recommended because medical professionals know that the virus that causes COVID-19 can travel at least 3 feet if coughed or sneezed. So that's why we want to keep at least 6 feet between you and the next person. So again, keeping it at 6 feet to be cautious, but if you can stay farther away, stay farther away. So 6 feet is the recommended minimum. Again, just to protect yourself from if someone coughs or sneezes, that you are not in that pathway. So we've already seen social distancing at work, and we've seen that it has started to be effective. And so again, this is a public health tool that we have seen already in the state of Kentucky, with restaurants being closed, bars being closed, as well as different places suspending travel. We've seen that with work, people being encouraged to work remotely or from home, or at least minimizing the interaction with other people. We've seen it as well with sports. So we know March Madness has been canceled and different sporting events because that's where we know a lot of people congregate in close settings with people. We've also seen social distancing being played out with religious gatherings right now being postponed in person, as well as schools being canceled. So this is really what we've seen so far as a public health tool being implemented to stop the spread of COVID-19, and it's working. We just have to continue to do our part to slow down the spread of this disease. So what should I be doing? So this is a question that a lot of people have, right? What can I do to stop the spread of the coronavirus? And social distancing is the #1 thing that we can do right now. I do want to note, though, that guidance concerning social distancing is constantly changing. It's changing daily because this is something that, again, continues to rapidly spread that we're working on getting under control. And so because of that, federal, state, and local governments are taking action to enforce social distancing at different levels. So we've seen that across this, the states, with certain states putting a shelter in place into contact with to limit people going outside their home. And so right now, to stay up to date on what you should be doing with everything changing around coronavirus daily, is to check out the websites below. You'll see it on your screen, the kycovid19.ky.gov. So that's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information on what Kentuckians should be doing. If you have questions about what you should be doing, or you're concerned about your health or any symptoms or signs, call the hotline. It's 800-722-5725. So those are for our Kentucky residents of ways that you can stay up to date on what's going on. So now we're going to go over some terms that you may hear, and people kind of use them intermixing. So they may say one, but they really mean something else. And so I want to just break down what these terms are, because these are terms that we're starting to hear more often. So social distancing, so that's what we're talking about, is a preventative measure, okay? So preventative practice that avoids large crowds, and if you must, right, so trying not to, but if you must be around people, keeping at least 6 feet between you and the next person. So again, this is so important because it slows the spread of an outbreak. If you aren't around people, you're not going to get it. You can't spread it. And it is currently recommended for everyone. All right, so social distancing. So now we're going to move on to self-quarantine. So self-quarantine keeps someone who doesn't have symptoms but was exposed to the virus and wants to make sure that they don't unknowingly infect someone else. So a lot of times we've talked about this because the COVID-19 coronavirus, some people can be asymptomatic, which means that they don't have a fever, they don't have a cough, but they still have it, which means that they can unknowingly spread it to others without even thinking that they're doing anything wrong. And so if you have been exposed to someone, whether you have symptoms or not, and you know that someone that you've been exposed to has tested positive for the coronavirus, you want to self-quarantine. And so this is just you deciding to protect others because you don't want to unknowingly infect someone else, even if you do or don't have it. So health experts recommend that you go into self-quarantine if you've been exposed to someone who's had the coronavirus or has tested positive for at least 14 days. So another one that we've talked about that you might be hearing is self-isolation. And so self-isolation keeps people who have a confirmed test, so they have tested positive for the coronavirus, and it keeps them away from those who are not infected. So you'll see here that I don't have a time on here because that's going to be different for everyone. So if you have a confirmed case and if you have tested positive for the coronavirus, you need to call your healthcare setting if you think that you have symptoms before you go in, see what happens. And again, that's going to look different for everyone on their recovery process. So self-isolation, again, keeps people who are have a confirmed case of COVID-19 away from those who are infected, away from those who have not been infected yet. And so I do want to make clear also is that one thing that's so hard with the coronavirus is that it looks different for everyone. And so depending on your health status and where you are, your symptoms and your signs can be worse than others. And so self-isolation could take place in your home as well as it could take place in a healthcare setting. So just keep that in mind. It's just if you have a confirmed case, you're keeping yourself away and isolated so that you don't infect other people. So again, social distancing is recommended for everyone. So it's so important because, like we mentioned, we now believe that a number of asymptomatic individuals are unknowingly transmitting COVID-19 into their community. So again, these are people who aren't showing any signs or symptoms yet, and that they are still being around people and social engagement. So it's concerning because healthcare providers right now are only testing those people who are symptomatic. So people who are showing signs like a fever or who have had close contact with an infected individual. So in this scenario right now, the most effective thing that we can do to stop and slow down transmission is to have everyone in their communities and in their counties practice social distancing. And this will keep everyone safe and slow down the rate of transmission. So what to do in the meantime? So if you need to run out and get something, make sure that you're going at times when crowds are low, and try to bring along hand sanitizer and wipes, not only for your hands, but for your shopping cart and for other items that you may be touching that someone else could have touched. And then as soon as you get home or back, you want to make sure that you wash your hands. And you may have seen our other public health practices of how to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. And so again, washing your hands for 20 seconds. You can check out our UK extension video on hand washing on our Facebook page if you want to go through that and different techniques that the CDC recommends to keep your hands clean in order to stop the spread of the coronavirus. What you also need to do is avoid visits with people at a higher risk. And so this can be challenging and really hard because a lot of us, we are social beings as humans and we have people that we love that we want to see. But in order to protect everyone, we really need to avoid visits with other people, and especially those at a higher risk. So this includes older adults, those with an underlying medical condition. And so this includes people who have heart disease or even diabetes. So keep that in mind. And especially those who have an immune compromised situation right now. So they are going to be the most vulnerable and at a higher risk of catching the coronavirus. So instead of seeing them in person, maybe FaceTime them or come up with a way to keep in contact. And again, if you have not already, you really want to make sure that you cancel all non-urgent travel and events. So this has been really challenging and heartbreaking for a lot of people, including weddings and graduation ceremonies. It's really impacting everyone at different levels. But again, if we're practicing social distancing, we're protecting everybody. So it's really important in the meantime to keep all of those in mind. So now we're going to go through social distancing don'ts and do's. So I want to start with don'ts because we want to end positive. So we're going to end positive of what we can do and things that we can still do while practicing social distancing. So some don'ts. So play dates for your children. So this is something that we want to minimize. So if you have kids within your home, obviously within your family, you guys can all stay and meet each other and play, and that's fine. But having play dates with other kids could be a higher risk for exposing your kids and then families, because for adults, it's a little easier to say, let's stay 6 feet apart and we're not going to touch, and we can practice self-control and handle that scenario. But for some kids and for young kiddos, it's really difficult to tell them, let's stay 6 feet apart, let's not touch each other. They're going to run around. And as you guys know who have younger children, they put their hands in their mouth all the time. So if they're touching shared surfaces or shared toys, again, that's how it could spread from them. And again, children may not show signs or symptoms, but they could be a vector and transmit it to an adult or a grandparent or someone else. So we really want to just limit the exposure that our kids have to other people as well. We don't want to meet in small groups right now for dinner or drinks. Again, right now the CDC recommends 10 people or less, but to really truly practice social distancing, the less the better. So instead of meeting out, maybe just FaceTime and have a happy hour with your friends over FaceTime or Zoom or any other type of interactive video chatting. So we also don't want to go to the doctor or a medical appointment if we don't have to. So try to cancel your non-essential doctor's appointments, including dental or certain therapies. And this is something that has been challenging for a lot of people with mental health and different anxieties and stressors happening now with the coronavirus. And so keep in mind that you can still call your doctor's office, you can still call your therapist and different professional help hotlines that you need, and that a lot of them, including private practice, are now able to do Zoom or Skype or Facebook chat to really make sure that they're still seeing their clients and making sure that your needs are met. So call your offices and see if there is any way that you could still be in contact if you have an issue. But again, if it's non-essential, it's not urgent, cancel your appointments. Also, you want to cancel any help around the house that you may have. This could be a cleaning service or a maintenance team or landscaping. So right now, really try to, again, just limit the amount of people that are in your home and that could be bringing in because of the different exposures that they've had. So we want to just limit contact with people when possible. So that's non-essential help around the house, things that you could maybe do. If it is essential, if something happens, of course, reach out to someone, but again, trying to keep that exposure limited. So now we're going to flip to some positives of things that we can still do while safely practicing social distancing. So number one, FaceTime your friends and family often. So I have made sure that during this time, I try to FaceTime at least 3 people every day, friends and family included. And so that way I'm still having that social engagement. We're still checking in with each other and still making sure that everything is okay. Keep a daily routine. So you'll see this posted. We have one of our other experts and specialists is going to be talking about family routine coming up this week. And so be on the lookout for that Facebook Live about how to keep a routine with family and kids so that everybody stays sane and stays normal and consistent. And then you still want to, again, participate in activities. We're social beings, so we want to really engage with other people, but try to do it remotely. So do virtual workout classes, or I even did a FaceTime workout with one of my friends. And so we were just keeping each other accountable during this time to still be active together. You can do book clubs still. Read your books. It's perfect time to read books, and then you can call and talk about it just like you would in person. You can also do different streaming activities and different options for kids. A lot of zoos and parks are doing different webinars and Facebook Lives during the day, so you can still have educational practices during this time as well. And I know that we have a question, I think, from the Facebook viewers. And so they said that they've watched online concerts with friends while music was being played, and they muted their audio and listened virtually and talked between sets. So that's perfect. A lot of even like famous artists right now are doing online concerts, and that's perfect. So that's something that you could even do at home. You could have a family game night, or you could have a family music night where you guys make music, or you just play music and you have a concert, all different things that you can do during this time. So great suggestions. You can also cook homemade meals. So this is a time for a lot of us to learn some more cooking techniques and maybe try some new recipes that we haven't tried in the past because we haven't had time. And now we have plenty of time at home to try these recipes. And so be on the lookout for our Plated Up Kentucky Proud recipes that you could try at home as well. So another do that we could do right now to support local businesses as well as other businesses around is to consider drive-through takeout if your family wants that as an option. So a lot of places have remained open for takeout or delivery. Again, so restaurants are closed, so you can't eat in the restaurant, but you could take it home. And so we've had some questions asking if takeout food is really safe. And right now, Governor Beshear does think that it is safe to get food from a restaurant and take it home. And so again, a lot of these people know that they are practicing their PPE with protective equipment while they're making their meals, as well as practicing good hygiene with cleaning. So they've also limited, I know some restaurants have limited staff on purpose in order to keep it down to a minimum of who is cooking the food and who is then giving the food to other people. So yes, right now, takeout food is safe. So I'm gonna leave it up because we did have a person in the chat box on Facebook say that what they did for a do during social distancing of watching music online. And so I'm curious if there are any other do's that you guys have done during this time of practicing social distancing that you could share to keep it fun and uplifting for everyone else. So we'll have some time, see if there's anybody on Zoom or on Facebook who has any ideas of fun ways to practice social distancing or things that you have done right now. So we'll wait a second and see. Awesome. So another Facebook person said a fun example that they've done is movie streaming services, offering virtual movie nights with friends. Yes, that is perfect. So you can do that through different apps and have a watch party with people. You can have different movie nights, different TV shows. We still want to make sure that we're getting our movement in and practicing good health as well. So you can check out our Fit Blue Kentucky workouts that are being posted. And so you can do that at home in your living room and keep active with your family. We will have a Facebook Live later this week, also on Friday, I believe, of workouts that you can do at home. And it could be you as an adult, you as a teenager by yourself, or you as a parent with your kid as well. So really getting everyone involved, up and moving. Another example that we had from someone viewing at home was making arts and crafts and then sending them to grandparents. I love that. That is perfect. And you could even just make arts and crafts at home and share with yourself. And I know that there was a New York Times graphic designer who is going live on her Facebook, and I forget her name right now, of doing drawing classes. So this could be a time to practice that as well. Yeah, and then another example that we had was planning a quilt block challenge with your quilting friends. Yes, that's perfect. So different quilting, or if you're doing different hooks and knitting, all different types of activities like that, needlepoint that could be going on as well. And another example, yes, building puzzles. It's a perfect time to do that. You can do that 4,000 piece puzzle right now and really work on it as a family together or by yourself as well. That's a perfect example. These are all great. Sally, are there any questions from Zoom?
We have several suggestions here in the chat box.
Let's hear it.
We have, they really enjoy watching all of the TikTok dance-offs that families or the young kids are trying to teach their parents.
Yes, that's a perfect way to keep moving, keep engaged, keep your mind working as well. So dance moves and routines are really hard on your memory and practicing that retention. So it's a perfect way to get both your body and your brain stimulated at the same time.
Walking the dog.
Okay.
And yesterday, our kids played in muddy puddles. That activity was very unplanned. So that could happen again with the rain that's probably going to come.
Right.
Spring cleaning the house.
Yeah, so spring cleaning is perfect. I know we've had a lot of publications and different things come out about ways to clean your home right now. You can clean out your closet, go through different drawers, plenty of time again to reorganize and get everything set up for the near future.
And then some libraries offer through the computer to learn Spanish. So that might be something you could do.
Yeah.
And there are lots of Facebook pages about sharing things. There's one about sharing kindness at 2 p.m. on Monday. So yeah, lots of things.
Yeah, so if you're bored, there are tons of different opportunities and different places that you can reach out to. This is one thing that We've done a lot of things on social media and some of the negative health outcomes of social media, but right now it's fascinating and it's great to see all the positive, the kindness and the joy and the spread of things that are happening online. And these professionals who are doing drawing tutorials or giving concerts or giving you a sneak peek into a museum or into a zoo or a park can be really educational as well during this time. So really checking out all of those free services that are being offered online. We have some other suggestions still coming in off Facebook of writing a note or a card to elderly in senior centers. So that's perfect because right now a lot of senior centers aren't having and taking visitors. So that's perfect. You could also take this time and write notes to military. You could also take time and write notes to different people, maybe in your faith organization. So really a lot of different times to stay connected in this time with different communities as well. So I know that one of our other specialists was on earlier this week, and she talked about how her daughter has been writing notes and art and sending it to their grandparents. So a lot of time right now to do those different practices and to think about others as well during this time. Perfect. So great suggestions. So make sure that you're staying tuned in to the UK Family and Consumer Sciences Facebook page, because we're going to have a lot of different things being offered, like these Facebook Lives, some that are going to be interactive. We just had one earlier this week hosted by 2 of our specialists on having kids involved in the kitchen and ways that you can cook with them and include them. So a lot of fun activities that we're going to be doing throughout. Something that hasn't been mentioned is obviously reading books, but also audiobooks and podcasts right now are really big. So you can download those, listen to them while you're cleaning your home. And so checking out our UK Talking Facts podcast as well. There's a lot of good stuff right now, including one that just got released about talking to kids about the coronavirus and COVID-19. So really making sure that you're plugged in. And that way you can find out all of the most up-to-date information and different activities that are going on while you're at home and practicing safe social distancing. So just to wrap it up, social distancing, how to do it. So again, it's staying home as much as possible. If you must go out, making sure that you're keeping your distance at least 6 feet away from people, and really encouraging people to limit their time that they spend outside their home. So trying to stay in your home and with the people, so with your family, people who you've already been exposed to, keep that, that's okay, but limiting the amount of time that you spend with others. So again, thinking about no handshakes, no high fives, no hugs, trying to do virtual high fives, virtual hugs, all of that, keeping our hands to ourselves, keeping our distance 6 feet from other people. If you can, try to work remotely. So this is something that Governor Beshear has really encouraged all employers to attempt, is to allow people to work remotely. So if you can work remotely, that is the safest thing for you to limit interaction with other people. So again, really trying to do that, talk to your employers about that being a possibility and seeing what next steps need to be done to ensure your safety as well as other people's safety by practicing social distancing. So again, avoiding crowds. So we've seen this with concerts and sports and different religious organizations canceling their services in person right now. But again, we've seen it still carry on virtually. So I know that a lot of faith-based organizations are still having their services weekly, but just online and streaming so that their people can watch. So really just trying to avoid crowds and stay at home as much as possible right now to ensure everyone's safety. And then the best thing that you can still do is to clean your hands. So washing your hands for 20 seconds, making sure that we're scrubbing our fingernails, getting the front and back of our palms and our hands, really making sure that we're still practicing good hygiene, as well as taking that time to clean our home and to make sure that we limit the spread of the coronavirus. So again, the best thing that we can do right now is for everyone to practice social distancing. So social distancing is for everyone, whether that you are showing signs or not. If you are perfectly healthy, social distancing is something that we still need to practice to protect everyone. So it may feel like we're separated and that we're apart, and it may feel really hard right now to be distant from our family and our loved ones and our friends. But again, thinking of that we are truly protecting everyone and each other by practicing social distancing. And so that is all that I have. But I want to stay on right now and reach out to see if anyone has specific questions regarding social distancing. So you can ask that again in the Zoom chat box or on Facebook chat to see if there are any other clarifications that we can make about social distancing and how we can still practice interacting with friends and have positive mental health and wellness during this time, and that we can keep our lives as normalized as possible by still practicing social distancing. And so I really hope that you understand the importance of social distancing now and how we can all benefit from this, including our frontline health workers and people who are working to prevent this. And we really appreciate any questions right now or comments that you have regarding social distancing. So we have another suggestion from our Facebook group, and it sounds amazing. And so they said to have children start indoor flower sets or a vegetable garden from seeds and watch them grow. Many public libraries have an app where you can check out and download books for up to 14 days. So yeah, that's perfect. Yes, still interacting with those gardens and learning experience, getting kids involved, as well as getting books and different podcasts and downloads. Perfect suggestions. So I'm going to stay on for a bit, see if we have any questions or comments on this time. I thank you guys so much for staying with us on this Facebook and Zoom. We really just want to ensure that everyone just stays positive, take a deep breath, have a routine, practice social distancing, and do your part to limit the spread of the coronavirus, so that way we can all stay healthy and we will get through this together. Okay, so a good question right now from the Facebook is recommendations for loved ones not taking social distancing seriously. So that is a great question. And so this is something that you could do, for example, with children, is you could go around and show children different fingerprints and different things maybe around your home, if you haven't done your spring cleaning yet, to show them how things can get left and then we can touch them and we can see them. You could also there's different science things going on about if you put your hand in soap and glitter or pepper, and how the spread of the pepper disperses on a plate if you have soap on your hands. So showing how cleaning your hands and staying home can stop the spread. For adults and people who may have a harder time with social distancing, is just to really share with them the importance of social distancing and how that they can take their part in flattening the curve. And so we've heard that talk a lot, and you can see that on the Kentucky website, the kycovid.ky.gov website. And so that, again, is just going to help show that if we stay at home, we're going to limit the spread, and that the coronavirus right now is a serious threat to people's health and health outcomes. And so by staying home, we are protecting others. It may seem weird right now, especially if you haven't been exposed or had someone close to you exposed or test positive for the coronavirus. But again, these are preventative measures. So we're taking preventative measures to stop the spread and to really slowly try to eliminate the coronavirus being spread throughout Kentucky. So I would just encourage them to maybe even listen to Governor Beshear's talks that he's doing every night at 5 on Facebook Live or on Kentucky News. So looking at that, looking at the website, and really just trying to encourage them to stay home and do their part.
Natalie, I want to thank you for sharing all of this great information today. I want to remind everyone, if you do have questions that we haven't gotten to today, feel free to share them on the Facebook Live post, and we will get those posted, the responses posted. If you have other questions, reach out to your local extension office. While they are not open for inside foot traffic, many of them are still working from the office, and so you can reach them by telephone, or of course you can reach out on social media or by email. So thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have learned something today, and will join us again as we are doing these very regularly throughout the coming weeks.
Family and Consumer Sciences Extension at the University of Kentucky. Our agents share research knowledge with individuals, families, and communities to improve quality of life. Building strong families, building Kentucky. It starts with us.